Greetings, friends! Well, the chicks that I had in here are now outside. And they're out there enjoying the sunshine and the fresh grass and the bugs and the scratching and the pecking and the whatever else they like to do while they're outside, having a good old time, enjoying life. But you may be wondering, what is that noise I hear in the background there, Mike? And what are those little yellow balls that I see maybe going across the background there? Well, those are some ducklings that we just got. And they're pretty cute. And whenever we get any new animals here, it's really, really exciting. For me and for the kids. But it's also exciting for me. But the kids really enjoy putting the ducklings after we pick them up at the post office, putting them into the brooder, and they just love it. And I don't know, I'm somewhat partial to liking ducklings just a little bit more than chicks. I think they're just a little bit cuter. I don't know. What do you think? Let me know in the comment section below. But I think ducks just slightly have an edge over chicks as far as cuteness. Well, I ordered 25 Pekin ducklings from Murray McMurray Hatchery, 20 of which are designated to be meat birds, and then 5 of which are females that we plan to breed from later on. So 5 for breeders, for future generations of hopefully Pekin ducks here on the homestead. And then the other 20 will be duck dinners. But the 5 came banded to be able to distinguish between the females and then the others. And then we took that band off and we divided the brooder up so that way they could stay separate and we know which ones are which. And they're over here on this side of the brooder with a heat plate. And then we also had some eggs begin to hatch again from our incubator. And then as they started hatching, I started to bring them out here and put them with the female ducklings here. So those aren't meat birds, so they'll just enjoy life here with the females. And with incubating eggs, chicken eggs usually take around 21 days or so. Ducks tend to take about 28 days. But recently I just learned that Muscovy ducks take like 35 days. I didn't know that. Now I do. Well, hopefully we'll have more continue to come. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get these guys some, and maybe some gals in there too. I'm sure there's, especially with the 5 ones that we know about over here. I'm gonna cut them some greenery so that way I really like to try to get them eating greens as soon as possible. I don't know about you, but for me, this is a first time experience of having to wear a sweatshirt in the morning in May here in North Carolina. It just doesn't happen, or hasn't happened for us. We just barely hit 50 degrees and I think we're in the 40s the other morning as the low, so it's different for us. It's normally starting to bake us about this time. Well, let's harvest some greens. Buenos dias.
Good morning.
So the ducklings are looking happy and healthy, and they have feed and they have water. But one of the things I want to do is I want to give them some nice fresh veg. So I'm gonna cut some greens, some weeds, or something from somewhere and get that for them.
Okay, sounds good.
You know what? I noticed that there's a bunch of plantain out there. So what do you think about harvesting some of that while I'm harvesting some greens for the ducklings?
Well, I need to make some more infused oil anyway, because one of my friends asked if I have my bug bite be gone stuff that I normally sell, and I don't, so I need to make some more.
Sounds good. Let's get to harvesting some weeds. Alrighty, I think we'll pull some from right here. So we need to weed this bed anyway.
Yes.
Because it's got a number of things growing in here that we don't want growing in here. Like, I don't know what that is, but I do know what this is right here. This is some good stuff right here. I like this stuff. It is wood sorrel. and it has like, it reminds me of the candies. What, Sweet Tarts, is that what they're called? And it is good. You can eat the leaves, you can eat the seed pods, you can eat the flour.
You can just eat it just like that.
It's good. But this is gonna be for the ducklings, not just me. Might eat a little bit while we're here.
Oh, here's something else that the ducklings would like, and it's good for them too. And it's good for you and for me. It's called cleavers. If you don't know why, look at there. That's why it's called cleavers. It cleaves to you. You can actually take this, make a tea out of it, and drink it, and it's really good for you.
As we've tried to develop a closer relationship with the land and the animals and the plants, one of the things that we have learned is that there's so many things around us that we can eat that we didn't even know about before. There's so many beneficial plants that we call AKA weeds that people are spraying for and trying to eradicate, but there's so many that are beneficial for you. And for me, having the fitness experience and doing bodybuilding, people would buy supplements like dandelion root and dandelion and milk thistle supplements, when dandelion is like in most people's yards and they're like spraying to get rid of it, but then they're going to go buy a supplement because they could have just got it out of their yard instead of buy a supplement. This is kind of crazy, but that just shows how much we don't know.
Well, yeah, it shows like the focus of our knowledge has been away from like local weeds, plants that are growing, and we put all that knowledge onto someone else to tell us what we need to have and to sell it to us in a bottle. So we need to take back that knowledge and make it work for us.
It kind of just shows that a lack of knowledge, we can miss out on things.
That's right.
I think that's good right there. Providing them with a salad buffet. Oh, you come out of nowhere with some. Thanks, pal. You like to eat these?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Somebody else loves eating wood sorrel. Wonder who that is.
Me.
Is there a particular part you like better? Flower, seed pod, leaf,
Leaf.
stem, leaf?
Leaf and stem.
My favorite might be the seed pods. Those seed pods are pretty neat. It's like a texture of a candy too. Have you guys tried eating wood sorrel before? Let me know in the comment section below.
Hey, babies.
Here's your salad bar buffet, guys. All right, come get it. All right. I didn't forget about you all. Yeah, get you some too. Yeah, tell me about it. There we go. We'll put that with your feed right there. Actually, let me do this so you can move around a little bit better. There we go. Try that. Yeah, you can try it. Don't be afraid. Yep, just like that. Hey there, Sailor. You want some breakfast? You want some too?
I've already had my breakfast.
Did you have greens for breakfast?
No.
I think you need some greens.
No, thank you.
And one thing that I've learned about ducks is they are actually better foragers than chickens. Yeah, they like to eat even more greens than chickens do. So I want to make sure that I get them access to some kind of grass as soon as possible.
Yeah, they'll mow down a whole row of lettuce real quick, won't they?
Yes, they will. Alright, so just washed my hands. And one of the things that I didn't mention earlier is whenever you eat something new, you want to make sure you just eat just a little bit of it to make sure your body doesn't have a negative response to it. That includes things like wood sorrel that I just showed you, or anything else that you may be eating as a wild edible.
Yes.
So are you ready to harvest some plantain?
Yeah, I'm just over here looking at my apothecary garden, and look, this is such a monster. I'm gonna have to cut this thing back, like way back. Oh.
It's like it's turned into a shrub or a small tree or something. This is like a bush, your tansy bush.
Yeah, it's not tansy, this whole bush. Yeah.
Man.
Oh.
Wow.
And also, Daddy, I learned on Wise Traditions never to make a wild salad mix, because if something bothers you in there, you'll never know what it is.
Excellent point there, and Wise Traditions is a podcast that we enjoy listening to. Selah loves it, by the way. It's from Weston A. Price, and our friend Hilda Labrador is the host on that show, and you learn so much. So Selah's exactly right. Whenever you're eating wild edibles, you never want to make a big salad mix of a bunch of wild edibles that you've never eaten before, because you could get sick, and then you don't know which one of those were the ones that made you sick. So thanks for bringing that up, Selah. Somebody learning something.
The tansy has some historical references. I've read that people used to cut tansy and put it on their floors to keep away the bugs and even mice. It is smelly, and I think it smells good, and it produces these really pretty yellow flowers that the bees love. And I've also heard that ladybugs really prefer tansy to lay their eggs. So it's great to have in the garden. You might want to keep it in a container because it can kind of take over. I mean, I planted this 2 years ago, and I've cut this back I don't know how many times, and it's huge, and I continue to cut it back, but it stays green all through the winter, even in the coldest times here. Maybe not as cold as where some of you other people live, but it's been really good, and I love it. I just go by and just grab a handful and just smell it.
So it definitely has some aromatic benefits then too.
Yes.
If you enjoy just grabbing it and smelling it. So
yes. I like to put it in my bouquets in the summertime whenever I cut flowers, and just for some greenery too.
So Lacie has a number of things that she has planted in here that is growing. And I mentioned plantain earlier, and she has plantain growing here too. And plantain can be one of those plants that grow anywhere. So we're not going to harvest this one today because we have a whole bunch more back this way. Come on. Check it out. It's growing all around here. Everywhere. So is there a particular size that you like to harvest the leaves at?
Well, I've read that the smaller leaves have more medicinal values, but really I kind of harvest them at every stage just to, get a little bit of every different stage. And sometimes I like the smaller ones because they fit in my dehydrator better. So it just depends on what your dehydrator's like and what you want to do.
I'm gonna say, if you're going to eat them, I really like the smaller leaves better. I've tried both, and the smaller leaves are much more tender, and I've even sliced them and diced them up and put them in some rice, and that's been pretty good before. But the first way that I tried using plantain was actually when we lived way back when we lived in the city, because like I said, it grows everywhere. I used to really enjoy making it into a tea. I used some plantain leaves, and I also threw some rosemary in there too, and that was a really unique tea that I would make.
And plantain tea is really good for you. It's an anti-inflammatory, and one thing about that, it doesn't have a really strong taste, so you can drink it and it doesn't taste like you're drinking medicine.
And another thing that you can do, and our kids do this quite often, is, especially if you're not up for consuming it like we are, you're not open to that yet, you can always just grab one of these. If you have an insect bite, a sting, or whatever, crush it, bruise it up, put it on that insect bite or sting, and it makes the pain go away really, really fast.
Yeah, it sure does. Plantain is one of the first plants we teach our kids to identify. It's super easy to identify, and the reason we do that is because out here we have all kinds of fire ants and other little bugs that can bite you, and they can just take care of that themselves. They'll go find a piece of plantain, crush it up, chew it up a little bit, and rub it on there, and they know exactly what to do in an instance like that.
So this right here gives you a good idea of what the leaves look like for the plantain plant. And this is just one variety of plantain.
This is actually Plantain ruglii because it's got a purple stem. There's all different kinds of plantain. There's fuzzy plantain, there's narrow-leaf plantain, there's broadleaf plantain. There's just so many different varieties. But the only way you can tell the difference between just plain old broadleaf plantain and Plantain ruglii is the purple stem. Whenever you're harvesting your plantain or any other herb that you're harvesting while harvesting, you want to get the leaves that look the best. You don't want ones that are wilted or, you know, they just don't look good. So you want to get the ones that look healthy. You don't need any special equipment. You just pick it just like that.
And right here, we have another variety of plantain. And I've actually been saving this one specifically for Lacie because I've been in here weeding in the garden, and I was like, don't remove that plantain until she's able to harvest it. Because here we have the narrow leaf plantain. Plantain lanceolato or something like that, is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, I think it's Plantago lanceolata.
Okay, okay.
If you look at it, it's...
Need to work on my Latin or whatever it is.
Well, don't look at me for correct pronunciation. But I think it's lanceolata because it's pointy, it's thinner, and looks like the tip of a lance.
Really sharp.
And one of the ways that helps me to identify this plant really easily is because as a kid, we would grab these, we would see them, we'd fold them over, and then we would just shoot them off. So after we harvested the plantain, Lacie set up the dehydrator and put the leaves in there to dry. And it only takes about a few hours before they're crispy and ready to come out. So now she plans to make an infused oil with the plantain. And if you haven't seen the video that we did on that, make sure you check out that video because she covers how she makes her infused oil. Well, I took a few leaves, crushed them up, bruised them up a little bit good so that way they can release some of their goodness, put them in my little tea jar, and then filled it up with boiling water. And now I'm enjoying some of it. Good. And it can be helpful for digestion or helping to fight inflammation, but it's a really, really good wild edible. And speaking of wild edibles, there's a really good book that can help you out. It's called Herbal Companion, and it's written by our friend Amy Fuel. And in it, it talks about things like plantain, as well as some other herbs, wild edibles, as well as just your normal herbs, how she has been able to use them and harvest them, and can help you out too. So I'll leave that link for the book in the show notes below. And one last thing, Homesteading Life Conference is coming up, guys, and if you haven't gotten your tickets yet, make sure you do because they are about to be sold out. And I plan to be a speaker there. Lacie's planning to join me there. We can talk about herbs, we can talk about ducklings, whatever you want. You can come up to us right there at the conference. But first, you gotta make sure you get your ticket. Well, I'm gonna see you next time. I'm gonna finish enjoying this tea, get back to some other things here on the homestead. See you next time.